Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good evening. Welcome to my show. And hey, let's just jump right into it as I have this episode of Super Large versus Super Skinny. I don't even know. I just had to find something to put on in the background that would tie into exactly what I'm talking about today, which is a pretty interesting topic. But again, I feel like it's something that we all kind of know, but we don't like to admit it, and that is that we judge people based on their size. We see people as either really large or really skinny, and we make snap judgments about them, and that's just the plain truth about it. If you don't, then good for you. Tell me exactly how you go about life, not categorizing people easily, but we judge people based on their color, based on what they dress, based on what they look like, based on what they smell like, based on how big they are, based on how small they are. We are just we're animals, basically, and we use those judgments to guide our lives. We use those judgments to guide if we're cautious around others, to guide if we're going to be open with others, to just, do a lot of things. So this study that came out in the Psychological Science Journal, which is part of the Association of Psychological Science, says people infer a wide range of personality traits just by looking at the physical features of a particular body. Stereotypes based on body shape can contribute to how we judge and interact with new acquaintances and strangers. Understanding these biases is important for considering how we form first impressions. We always say you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, doesn't matter how many times we say that, we're still going to judge that book by its cover. So this is really good because hey, we're about to hit 2019. This is a good time. If you feel like you need to get the cover of your book looking a little bit better, there's science behind why you should. Whose name I don't have the first name of, but Ying Hu, said that stereotypes based on body shape can contribute to how we judge. And yeah, he said all that stuff. So anyway, and he's from the University of Texas at Dallas. Woo, go Dallas. I hope the Cowboys win tomorrow. Anyway, Hu and other researchers created 140 realistic body models, 70 female, 70 male. The three-dimensional renderings, which I wish I had images of, but maybe I'll find them and post a link somewhere. Anyway, the three-dimensional renderings were generated from random values along 10 different body dimensions using data from laser scans of actual human bodies. So hooray for the people that got paid for using their bodies for science. Hooray. Using these models allowed the researchers to know the precise physical measurements of each body shown in the study. Who says, we wanted to know whether we could link personality descriptor words to body shape in predictable ways. That is, do people look at a person's body and make snap judgments about whether the person is lazy, enthusiastic, or irritable? And I would say you probably don't really need to do a scientific study for that. But hey, if you're getting research funding, why not? Have at it. Sure, figure it out. So they had a total of 76 undergraduate participants view a set of models they saw each body from two angles and indicated whether 30 trait words shown on the screen applied to that body. Talk about having to be judgy. I'm so glad they didn't use like real bodies because that just would have been terrible. The trait words reflected dimensions of the Big Five personality traits, which is a common measure of personality used in psychology research, typically seen as positive, such as enthusiastic, extroverted, dominant, or negative, quiet, reserved, or shy. So I wanted to look a little bit more into the Big Five personality traits because I don't know very much about them, and I went to verywellmind.com and find out what they were. And they are openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, or neuroticism. And they also go by the acronym of OCEAN, OCEAN, for open, conscientious, extroversion, agreeable, and neuroticism, or CANOE. Like they just, science. We in the science and engineering fields just love our acronyms. So yeah. Anyway, so openness is a trait that features characteristics such as imagination and insight. People who are high in this trait also tend to have a broad range of interests. They are curious about the world and other people, and eager to learn new things and enjoy new experiences. People who are high in this trait tend to be more adventurous and creative. People low in this trait are often much more traditional and may struggle with abstract thinking. And so this website gets highs and lows. So high, very creative, open to new things. Low, dislikes change, does not enjoy new things. Conscientious is a standard feature. The standard feature of this dimension includes high levels of thoughtfulness, good impulse control, And goal-directed behaviors. Highly conscientious people tend to be organized and mindful of details. They plan ahead, think about how their behavior affects others, and are mindful of deadlines. Then you've got extroversion. Extroversion is characterized by excitability, sociability, talkativeness, assertiveness, and high amounts of emotional expressiveness. People who are high in extroversion are outgoing, tend to gain energy in social situations. Being around other people helps them feel energized and excited. People who are low in extroversion or introverted tend to be more reserved and have to expend energy in social settings. Social events can feel draining, and introverts often require a period of solitude and quiet in order to recharge. And then agreeableness. This personality dimension includes attributes such as trust, altruism, kindness, affection, and other pro-social behaviors. People who are high in agreeableness tend to be more cooperative, while those low in this trait tend to be more competitive and sometimes even manipulative. And then the last one is neuroticism. Neuroticism is a trait characterized by sadness, moodiness, and emotional instability. Individuals who are high in this trait tend to experience mood swings, anxiety, irritability, and sadness. Those low in this trait tend to be more stable and emotionally resilient. So there you have it. I just taught you guys something. You could take that, teach your friends. But anyway, so yeah, they wanted to know if they could link descriptor words from those 5 main personality traits based on a person's size or shape. Basically saying that the 5 personality traits typically seen as positive or if they're negative. So the researchers analyzed whether participants consistently associated specific traits with certain types of bodies. Generally, participants judged heavier bodies as being associated with more negative traits. So I'm assuming the things that except for neuroticism, were more on the negative side. So maybe lower openness, maybe lower conscientiousness, maybe more introverted, although I don't know, it could maybe more extroverted as well. Maybe not as much as agreeableness, maybe. I'm not really sure. Furthermore, the participants perceived classically, so let me go back to this one. They judged lighter bodies as having more positive traits, such as being self-confident and enthusiastic. So again, heavier bodies versus lighter bodies. Heavier bodies had more negative traits, such as being lazy and careless, and they judge lighter bodies with having more positive traits. Again, just things to think about. Furthermore, the participants perceived classically feminine or pear-shaped and classically masculine, like broad shoulders, as being associated with active traits, such as being quarrelsome, extroverted, and irritable. So that's interesting. So if you have a more feminine or more masculine body, so you might think that you look really good because, oh, you got the nice feminine body, or you the big broad, you might be seen as quarrelsome. So that's pretty interesting. Just stop going to the gym. And then they said male and female bodies that were more rectangular, on the other hand, were associated with relatively passive traits, such as being trustworthy, shy, dependable, and warm. I would not think that someone with a rectangular shaped body, like that just seems like too edgy for me. That really does. I'd rather like someone with like a little bit of curves to them. So anyway, this other co-author, Alice O'Toole, says, to our knowledge, this is the first study to consider the role of more nuanced aspects of body shape beyond height and weight and personality judgments about people. The tendency to infer personality traits from body shape is likely universal, and I would have to agree. But somehow they say the authors argue. But they note that the exact inferences people make will vary according to their culture, ethnicity, and even age. Which basically means throughout the whole study, we just proved what we already knew, but we already know that things change from culture to culture because different shapes have different, if in one culture, if you're bigger, you're worshipped and praised, whereas in some cultures, if you're bigger, you're looked down on and you're shunned upon. So it just changes from country to country, from ethnicity to ethnicity, from race to race. And from age to age even. And it remains to be seen how other characteristics such as attractiveness or gender interact with body shape to influence and inferences that people make. So basically the bottom line here is, look, do what makes you feel good about yourself. As we go into 2019, focus on you. Focus on making yourself a better person no matter how you look. Again, we are all very judgy people. You might not be judgy. You might have taken that little that little test that does your personality. You might be like perceiving and not judgy or whatever, but we all judge to a certain extent, and we all perceive people to a certain extent. It doesn't matter. When you look at somebody, you're making a judgment, or you're having some sort of perception about them. That's the bottom line. So knowing that, let's all work to be the best that we could be, no matter what we look like, because for some people it's out of your control. It's out of your control if you're fat or skinny. You might just have a gene that makes you that way. You might have a gene that makes you tall, that makes you short, that makes you big, that makes you small. It really doesn't matter. But what you can control is how you act on a day-to-day basis. If you cannot control how you act, then seek help. There are people out there that can help you do that as well. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this video. I certainly did, and I will certainly work to not fall into the stereotypes of thinking that way about certain people when I see them. And I will work just to talk to people and learn about people and get to know people, because that's what living is all about. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.